Oh man, welcome to the Chop Shop, your midday sports happy hour. Man, yours truly, Jim Hicks. Robert Heller's in transit, out of town, hadn't made it back. Safe travels to him. Got a lot to talk about. Of course, if you guys there, you saw the hiccups that we had early on, and that happens, I guess, with certain computers. And I have one of those certain computers that it can sometimes happen wrong. Probably it's time to take it and get a tune-up because of the ever-evolving software. But let's just get right to it. Elephant in the room. I want to make sure you guys are all there. We're gonna talk about the starting five. We got so many different topics to curve through, and I know you guys have been itching to share your thoughts on. And I'm anxious to see what you have to say as well about various topics. So as we get ready, everybody's filing in. And you know what? I'm going to today, topping off the week on this Monday, I think that it's only fitting. It's only fitting to share, to get your thoughts, maybe open the phone lines, right? And when we get down to it, because sometimes, some people can't talk, they're at work, some people's at their desk, some people's in the classrooms, but I want to actually, sometimes you can put some voices with some names if you're if you're able to express yourself in these topics. So first, I'm going to ask everybody to share the show, if you would. Let's share the show to your timelines, share the show to a couple of your groups, your hoop groups or whatever, and that way they can get time to join us as well. This is going to be the best 120 minutes of your day is going to be the Chop Shop today. I got, there's so much. I got breaking news for you guys. We're at the top of the hour. We got, there's so much happens over the weekend. But as I'm sharing along with you guys as well, so just, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm sharing on the Facebook. I'm sharing on the YouTube. We're streaming simultaneously on both platforms. If you would be so kind to share as well. I just done both right there. So I'm playing the piccolo and I'm singing at the same time. So shout out in regards to starting five, Thaddeus Moody. Shout out to you, my brother, Paul Miranda. Thaddeus Moody's in Chicago. Paul Miranda, shout out to you. You're in Dallas. Sterling Creeks. Shout out to D. Holcomb, and of course Darrell Anderson, who's outside of the United States selling the 7 Seas, I would assume, who rounds off the starting five. Hey man, I see you, D. Fron Farb, Coach Farb. I see you, Otha Brown. I see you guys as well on here, and let's get this thing popping out the gate. First, let me quench my thirst. Now, elephant in the room, let's get it on out the way. That would be the NFL draft, which I figured that either one or both of the players from Colorado would consume most of the headlines after the draft. You can just tell because they have proven to be worthy of clickbait, worthy of headlines, but first and foremost, I'll be remiss if I did not applaud. If I did not applaud the efforts from the young kid from out of H-Town, one of 4 Houstonians that was taken in the first round. 4. Houston former Houston football stars that was taken in the first round. And Cam Ward is the first. And the thing about with Cam Ward is that, of course, you guys, they've raised up all of the floor mats and showed you guys, and all of the different stories and about him. But I've actually, have known this family for about maybe 15 years. I annually volunteered up until last year still. Every year I go down to Angleton, which is on the outskirts of Houston, and I speak to that not just Angleton, but that whole Brazoria County. That means all of the towns. What they do every year, a lot of the basketball coaches at the various high schools, they'll come in there, sit in the front of a room at the community center, and a lot of the parents, it's kind of like a meet and greet, kind of like a Q&A, and it kind of gets everything going, a one-stop shop, where instead of having to, kind of like a parent-teacher conference, but it's multiple schools that are there. I annually go and speak at this workshop for probably the past, I would say maybe 7 years. Yeah. And Calvin Ward, who's the father of Cam Ward, is the one who founded and who orchestrates that by him being an active parent at the time. And got a chance to, I've been down there, I've broke bread with the family. Everybody down there, I've seen kids and parents I've met down there. If you're watching and you're from that area and you've been to one of those workshops, then remind me, or give a shout on the feed. But the city and the community, of course, I'm not going to say the word hijack, but Cam Ward is one of those stories that is great timing to prove that you can truly get it out of the mud. And you can, in this day and time. And you guys know, and it's crazy. I remember talking to the dad quite often, because they were ready to put all, he played both sports like a lot of young men do, especially when you're from those small single school towns, meaning that a town or a city that has one high school. A lot of those guys play 2-3 sports. And Cam played basketball. He was pretty much big man on campus in both sports. But you can be, and I tell everybody all the time, there's a red ant in every ant bed. Just because you're big man on your campus, and you're in basketball, it was good, but sometimes it wasn't good enough for where you're trying to go, and that was the Division I route. Football was king at the high school that he went to. And we're talking about Cam Ward right now. And so the dad was always was wanting, because of his size, and I'm like, man, unless he grows some more at the time. And I'm like, but Coach, hey Calvin, fish just ain't biting, man. He could probably play somewhere small. Then I started, as he got to the 11th grade, and the numbers started racking up. And I'm like, well, man, why are you fighting against this football? This thing, he might have a chance. Then the fish wasn't biting in football. So then you start getting, you're big man on campus, nobody's biting. And then out the blue sky, an offer came right before the buzzer from Incarnate Word. He goes to Incarnate Word. We talked about it on the Chop Shop. I think we might have had the dad on the Chop Shop before. And he goes there, and the guy that was starting, I remember vaguely, there was a quarterback at Incarnate Word who was starting. He had made all conference. Might have been all region. I mean, he was, so they brought Cam in just to, you know, relay some signals and hold a clipboard, kind of in a nutshell. Something happened with the young man going in the spring training. Not spring training, going into the season. Something happened. I can't remember quite what happened, but it enabled Cam to start. He might have been hurt, the young fella. Cam comes in, throws like four touchdowns or so in his first game. They get a W. The people are like, they're raving over him. And it was like the young man, Cam, played the next game and racked up through about 5 touchdowns. Now the other young fellas ready to come back, and they're like, hold on, it ain't broke, let's not fix it. And that young man ended up transferring at the, I want to say, the mid-season break. And the rest is history. But a lot of people, man, this is awesome, man. I'm talking about, dude, the Ward family, I mean, their body just is, I mean, think about it, overnight, their lives basically changed in the course of maybe I'd say overnight, meaning in a matter of 2 to 3 years. It goes to Washington, then goes to Miami. Awesome, awesome journey. I applaud the Ward family. Congratulations to all of you guys. Like I say, Jaden Milrose, the quarterback formerly from Katy Tompkins High School, was overshadowed in his district. The Katy High School team is routinely a powerhouse in the state of Texas and often nationally ranked. Overshadowed this Jaden Milrose kid, and this kid there goes, Nick Saban recruits him to Alabama. He goes there and he plays. He performs, and unlike Cam Ward, I'm just surprised that Jaden Milrose didn't play. He's an athlete. He's about 6'4". I mean, he's like Vincent Young type athlete. Not quite VY athletic-ish, but right there along the lines. And I'm surprised he didn't play basketball for Tompkins when he was there. But he's going first round. And job well done for this young man. But Doug Jones shot to Doug. Doug says Cam was indeed on the Chop Shop. I'm telling you, we've had so many people on the Chop Shop, guys. Cam was on there. And Karen Freeman said the dad was on the Chop Shop. We had both of them on the Chop Shop. But man, it's shout out to Demetrius. He's up in Minnesota watching us on the Chop Shop. All over the country, guys. You share the show. We just tuned in. Out to Marcus Carroll. I know if you're still in Louisiana now, or you're back in Houston. Shout out to him. He says, Cam Ward's story is pretty neat. I mean, but that's the whole thing. Why Cam's dad, you will see a lot. People aren't willing to put the microphone in his face. He doesn't have the expertise or the resume it's understandably so. As, let's say, a Deion Sanders. We're going to talk about that family very, very shortly. But don't you guys dare fall for the quote-unquote trickery like it's a bad thing for a parent, especially a qualified parent that's been under the roof, to be standing along the side of his son during these journeys. Sometimes, yes, it can be to a fault. Yes. But there's an old cliche that goes around. And it says, guess what? Every parent has the right to assert themselves in their kids' life during their journey. Every one of them. Until they're served, until that young man says or the young lady says that this, babe, I got it now. I got the steering wheel. We're making, it seems like there's a movement to make black men feel like they have to stay in a certain space when it comes to their sons. When there's a problem, lacking thereof, with black fathers that is long played within our communities. So right on cue, I go and I look at, of course, the draft. I mean, it's amazing that people in Houston don't even know who the Houston Texans had 9 picks in the draft. Don't know who the Texans got because it's been so consumed. Don't know that 4 Houstonians were picked in the first round. They don't know how many Texas guys that was picked in the draft. All we know is that where Shadur Sanders did not go, who did not pick them, and how many times he was passed up. And what I can say when I look at it like this, this is when we open up, like I said, shortly we open up the lines, and I'm going to see if and of course on the next hour we get Doug Jones to come in and tell us what happened around the state and the nation as well. But I'm trying to see if we can get you. There we go, right there. There we go. So phone lines will open up for you guys. This is gonna, I mean, and get you, I want to get you, like I said, I want to get your thoughts on this stuff. Let's see, let's get this thing popping. And that's 832-264-1500, and that is the hotline to get you guys right into the chop shop with your thoughts. Shadur Sanders. And what I was about to say is, I really think that that it was overkill by him not getting drafted first round. That was definitely humbling. Day 1, I mean. Then second round, day 2, that's when people that really didn't have a dog in the fight, that really didn't care, started to pay attention. And he has the sympathy or the empathy of a lot of people now who are really going to be rooting, who probably wasn't rooting for him in college, but now it's one of those, it's going to be a movement within the certain communities going to be rooting for him. And as a result of him not getting drafted until the 5th round, I can say I wasn't watching the draft like that. I was just keeping updating you. I'm in the gyms at the event, of course, at Rick Nelson's Pearland Texas Classic this past weekend, and you hear people and they're talking. Hey man, wait, is he drafted? No. Wow. Somebody asked who drafted the Katie Thompson. Seattle took Jaden Milrose. Seattle, Jay. So I hope that answers your call. Shout out to Eric Boone. I see you out there. Rick Tim, I see you, Slick Rick. You out there as well. Brandon Wheatfall, I see you. Todd Byerly in the house. Checking that he's down in Beaumont, Texas at work. Shout out to him. Hey, shout out to my big sister, Giselle, Shreveport, Louisiana in the house. We got them all over the country watching the Chop Shop. It's my big sister. Love me some Giselle. She got to get on back down in Houston, man, and come kick it with her little brother very soon. Now, of course, 832-264-1500 is the number to tune in. And we're talking in this Sanders thing. Then on top of that, we go and we get about day 3. We get the headline about the young fella getting prank called. And immediately people speculated that it was the daughter of one of the GMs, and they went to tearing her up online. That's why sometimes, guys, be careful. Try to accumulate as many facts. Robert Haller tell you guys this all the time. Try to accumulate the facts before you jumping into stuff. You know, remember that movie The Warriors? Back in the days, in the 70s? The Warriors. Classic movie. Right? Based in New York. They had a gang, different gangs. Somebody had shot somebody, and one of the leaders, one of the gangs, and the guys pointed and said the Warriors did it. They were on the run throughout the city, and through the undercurrents of the city throughout the whole movie before vindicating themselves at the end, because people ran with a false narrative. It was not the daughter of the GM that was after all, because one thing this is proven is that the NFL, or the powers that be, hurried up swiftly and traced that phone to the son of the defensive coordinator from the Atlanta Falcons. A team that Deion Sanders starred with back in the days. And so this son, according to the reports, allegedly admitted to seeing the number on his dad's iPad screen and conspiring to make the prank call, which he later, according to reports, called Shadur himself and apologized. And Shadur, his response to the apology has played to be noteworthy, positively noteworthy, because people are waiting to him to respond in a way that would cause them to say, "I told you so." You know, that's why we didn't draft him. You know, he can't handle this, can't. But that's a matter from which I don't think that that this part is over with. Something else is going to. It put it like this: for the same reason that they didn't draft Shadur Sanders early, that some people are using about maybe it's off the court issues, or maybe what, in which there are none, off the field, which there are none, that has been prevalent, that has caused him to be questionable, other than him using his money to go and buy some material, quite a number of materialistic items. Well, one thing in regard to this young man is that he's spending his money, and then he's probably is listed on the wheel or entitled and has more to if he spend that up, and he has opportunity to earn him some more. So for the same reasons, they say that this will humble Shadur Sanders. Some reports, some people, this would be, he needed to be humbled. He was too cocky. Well, does the son of the defensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons, He sounded pretty cocky on that prank call. Does he need to be humbled as well? Or does it get chalked up under the folder of, oh, these are just a young kid in this young 21-year-old kid, man, that's what kids do. I get it. But at some point, humble pie doesn't have no, how would I say it, no specifics on his destination. So we'll see how this goes. I just think that, me personally, once it came down to it, I was just hoping that the young fella, Sanders, ended up going to a team where he would have an opportunity to truly play. I was hoping that certain teams in this draft him to stash him so that he had no opportunity to play. It looks like in Cleveland, Deshaun Watson situation, he's on the shelf coming back. You have, I think who's the backup over there? I think Flacco. I think he's on the short side of his career. They drafted another young man before him in the 3rd round, so you just basically got to get it out of the mud. We mentioned Cam Ward a while ago. It's messed up, but you have to make do about it. And he knows this. It's motivation. So now a lot of people that the Sanders family probably thought was allies or thought was on their side. These are those moments when you realize the truth. Actions will show you. And I just think that I hope that this story can end in a movie type situation, because as Shadur has success, then it opens up, it empowers Deion Sanders, his father, who's currently the head coach at Colorado. As Deion goes now, because you can't get these teams past you. The NFL ain't going nowhere. It's the NFL, the National Football League. So you can't afford to piss off everybody. You got to know, but act like you don't know. He knows, and I'm certain, understand, he's a father. So this is a father cap and a coach cap in the same. That's a hard, and I'm quite sure that Deion is going to be smart enough to navigate through this stuff, but because there's going to be other players that's going to be in this similar situation in years to come, who had Deion Sanders' fingerprints on them. So you win by an if and when your son gets the opportunity and seizes that opportunity. You win. That's how you win. Because then it becomes blatantly obvious. And then and Deion has a network of a lot of people that's in the media. Have to keep this wait, take notes, take names, and remember some of the things that a lot of people said when, before, during, and after this 2025 NFL draft. Because for that reason alone, I'm rooting for this young man to just remain out of the headlines. Well, remain trouble-free. Put it like that. He's going to be in the headlines whether he like to or not. He's going to be in the headline whether he's QB 3, 2, 1, or hell, even QB 5. He's going to be in the headlines. And that is Shadur Sanders. Some of the comments right here. They say Prime rubbed a lot of big wigs and power the wrong way, and they took it out on his son. It was by design. Sonya Billingsley said they've done nothing but build a greater fan base. That's right. That's that's what I was wondering, was I the only one that interpreted that? It's like some people I know, because I've talked to some people, they really didn't, and I know they were not rooting for Colorado. And I hear some people, I'm talking about people that I'm in the gyms, I'm walking, and I know some people like, I'm like, okay, now you down. Oh man, they messed over and that's cold, man. Let's go. I'm like, I thought you wasn't down with him. Well, no, I don't want to see nobody get done like that. So, okay, so this is how a lot of people are responding to this. Situation. Ricky Scott says the story will never be forgotten how the draft played out, but the talking point to me was the fake call from the coach's son. Yeah, we just talked about that. Yeah, now I post a lot of you guys comments. Herb Baker, Shadur is a quarterback. Why did the defensive coordinator have his number in the first place? That's the question. Well, from the reports, Herb, here's how it happened. According to the reports, and I says all I know is, hadn't made no calls to get anything deeper. That's Hatter's expertise in that NFL. But according to the reports, there was a sponsor that Shadur Sanders and his agreed to go with, and this sponsor provided a new cell phone. So it must have been may have been a cell phone company. They didn't name it, say a sponsor. And this cell phone would be strictly like a hotline. That means now it's a brand new number. The number had just been established 24 hours before. And what they did was they took to the email and sent all of the GMs or the brass, which included the GMs, from all of the teams to give them that number if they needed to call, if they had to, in drafting. So, and I'm like I said, I don't know how, in today's sponsorship, society, where guys are more consciously aware of their name, image, likeness, and taking the opportunity to benefit from it. I can get that. I see that. I see it. So that's how that. So the GM got it, and then that number, they probably have somebody that put the phone numbers in a spreadsheet of different ones, the coup to call, I would assume. I don't know. Like I said, can't wait to Hatter get back, and he probably can elaborate more on that. But this is the story that they're saying, is that phone number was given only to those NFL administrators, i.e. GMs from all 32 teams. B. Scott says she's on there. She says she's definitely getting some jerseys. Yeah, his jersey's going to sell. His jersey's going to sell. Hell, Deshaun Watson's jersey sold. This guy's jersey's going to sell. Deshaun Watson came to Cleveland Brown, while he was in the midst of a hell of a storm. His jersey's going to sell. We know Cam Ward's jersey's going to sell, but I'll put it like this: we don't, he's not expected to be. He could be the starter, but I'm not. Maybe not. So this Sanders is going to move product because he has that street cred. You can wear his jersey. His jersey makes a statement. It's a stance, because now people that was on the middle, like I said earlier, that jersey, if you wearing it, is picking a side. It's letting people know this is where I'm rocking with. This is who I'm rooting with. So, good thing about it, somebody has a question I'm posting up on there, and that is, Marcus says, how will Shadur handle not having his father as an actual coach for the first time ever? I mean, if the coach then prepared him for everything else, only time will tell this part. Now, some reports that I read this morning saying that Dion is requesting to be present at the team meeting this week. And people are throwing that out there. And they're voicing their take on that. He should step back. He should stand down. That's what I mentioned at the top of the show when I expressed my thoughts on this this movement by so many to make black dads feel guilty or feel like it's a bad thing to stand on the sides or stand with their sons when they're going through some of the most scariest moments of their lives, especially if that dad has been down that road before. So you guys let me know if you were there. I think it had a little hiccup, might have bumped a few of you guys off the stream. So let me know if you're still there. And I'll wait till you guys, it has a delay. Let me know if you guys are still there and you can hear me, so we proceed with the convo. And yeah. So now that means when a hiccup like that, I mean we were talking good stuff. And when the show get the hiccuping like that. So let me know if you guys can hear me, and before we proceed. And so I'm waiting on you guys. I'm waiting on the comments. So Paul Miranda says Dion has hurt the kid enough. He needs to focus on Colorado and let his boys play. Here's the thing. At Cleveland Browns, only time would tell. It's almost like picking the right, in college, you pick that school. In the pros, they pick you. And as I say, time will tell if this pick from the Cleveland Browns deems to be a home run pick, because they're in a position and they picked another quarterback before him. And I feel for that young man, because all of the microphones, when they start camp, they're going to be going towards a player who's picked 2 rounds after you. All of this limelight and the shine is going to be, how many people's going to know, besides his classmates and his family members? The other cat, he's not going to sell no jerseys. But this is why Shadur Sanders has to remain squeaky clean. He has to remain squeaky clean. He has to, this should teach him to watch how often he responds to people on social media, because now you're in a new sector. You're no longer big man on campus. in this NFL with this Cleveland Browns team. Now, the humbling, and it's not like you're shutting up. Humbling is not necessarily shutting up. It's just knowing who to respond to. Certain people that have nothing to lose, sometimes let that go on down the water. I may get somebody to handle that. It's time to play with different toys now. And he'll be fine. So, with that being said, guys, now it's time to push this thing on to another topic, and which and that's the NBA. Of course, we're gonna talk some grassroots basketball shortly, but of course the playoffs. And here's the question. Oh, also, man, we missed. Went over before we get in the NBA. Shannon Sharpe. I was with you guys for most of last week, and man, is he done? Does he come? The plan is for him to come back right before the NFL season. But this is almost like probation. Hell, deferred adjudicated probation. That means if something else comes and something else comes forward and another accuser comes forward, then people, the establishment's gonna say, I mean, that wound, does it heal that fast? Does it heal that fast? And I just, man, I feel bad in regard to how it went down. But at the same time, I don't feel sorry for Shannon Sharpe, because it's like I'm just flat honest. I mean, he chose those women. Whether they seeked out and planted themselves conveniently for him to choose from, he chose them women. So with some, you get what you got coming to you, or you get just what you was looking for. So, not to say that it couldn't happen with other ones, but you chose that. So, but yeah, the NFL, man, are the Lakers done? We'll get you guys to share the show right now as we get ready to talk some NBA. I'm sharing it right now. Get you guys to share this thing. Let's get this thing rocking. Get the energy going. I see you on here. Got a couple more comments I'll post on it for you guys. And so this is a while back. I go from some. I just share that is Moody. How does he hurt his own son? He knows it. And then of course, this is a conversation that you guys might miss because you're on different platforms. We're streaming simultaneously on Facebook and YouTube. And we got to get you guys to share the show right now, if you would. Let's share the show. Ricky Scott says the talking head said the drop installation cost him $50 million. His echo chambers need to be squeaky clean. Oh yeah, need to be squeaky clean. But guess what, man? If he's any inkling of success, he's going to become a cash cow for marketing, for advertising. He can't, because the sympathy and the empathy dollars are going to roll in. People that were mad at the establishment, they're going to be rooting for this young man. I'm talking about rooting for him. Now, all he needs is an offensive coordinator. I don't care if they put in a David Carr package. You guys remember when David Carr played with the Texans? When he was the first quarterback they picked. Remember I think they skimmed over Vincent Young back then and had David Carr quarterback. And a lot of the packages they had for him was a bunch of screen passes and 3-yard drops or whatnot. And his numbers looked decent, but they wasn't moving the needle. But the stats were there, and that's why I say everybody, most quarterbacks on last place teams is going to have some good numbers in one way or another, because they're going to play in the fourth quarter while other teams are playing prevent type defense or just relaxing because the game is in hand. So anyway, I hope for that the redemption or the revenge, whatever you want to call it, for this Sanders kid is definitely well served. I'm looking at some of the other comments, and I see one from Michael Jordan. He said, "Do people get the same energy when Charlie Ward went undrafted?" Absolutely not. But people knew that Charlie Ward, there was a rumor that he was going to go and do the basketball, the NBA, which he did for the New York Knicks. And so I'm not sure, like I say, Haller would be more seasoned to respond and define that topic when he rejoins on tomorrow. Now, the question I ask you guys as we transition over to the NBA. The Lakers fall to the Timberwolves 116-113 on Sunday. They are now down 3-1. That means they must run the table in order to advance in the Western Conference playoffs. This was probably the first game that Luka and Bron both were dominating on the court in the midst of the same game. I didn't watch the game. Of course, was in the gym at the Pearland class. We'll talk about that shortly. So you guys are there, just be patient. We're going to acknowledge and do acknowledge all of the champions. But Marcus Carroll says, I think the Lakers are done. It would take too much energy to climb out a hole, and LeBron played too many minutes. See, just a couple of weeks ago, the masses were saying that J.J. Redick should be a Coach of the Year candidate. Did a great job. He's a great coach. Then you come to last night when he opted to make no substitutions in the entire second half. Not the fourth quarter, but the entire second half. Entire second half. And now, was a winnable game, which the Lakers were up by double digits. And you lost that game. Be careful how we afflicts the label. Think about it. So now he's a horrible coach. You don't know what he's doing. So which one is it? So that proof that good coaches can make bad calls, and sometimes bad coaches can make good calls. So when you guys are talking about these high school coaches, hey man, he don't know what he's doing. He don't know what he's doing. Next thing you know, a guy like Bruce Glover takes Bell out of state. But then just a couple of months before, people saying, same people, man, he don't know what he's doing. So if he don't know what he's doing, and he whoops San Antonio Brennan, then what does that mean for the Brennan coach? Be careful, guys, how you, when these coaches, just because a coach don't run your play, just because he don't run your system, just because y'all don't think alike, that don't mean he's a bad coach. It's like an NBA player. Jalen Green, Houston Rockets, they were back in action tonight, but on Saturday they fall to the Golden State Warriors without Jimmy Butler. Jalen Green has scored 38 in game 2, come back and score 9 in game 3. So does that make Jalen Green? He's not a bad. He was a great player. Game 2. Does it make him slop in game 3? Karl Anthony Towns damn near laid an egg 2 games ago. Steps up, hit a big 3 yesterday. Now all of a sudden, Karl Anthony Towns. Which one is it? That's why I always say, you guys might want to start using the practice of just saying right now. That dude, you're not in the streets yet. That dude's sorry right now, today. I'm looking shout out to North Shores High School's Upton Stout. He picked by the 49ers in the 3rd round. Yeah. How about that, man? A lot of young fellas. Trey Phillips said he's a Laker fan, but we are done in 6. JJ played the wrong card and not playing the bench in the second half. Absolutely. JJ Redick messed that up wholeheartedly. Because had they won the game, and you saw they find wherever it's fitting to give him credit. You have to find it fitting. The energy has to be dual, has to be the same. You got to give him credit for messing it off. Coaches mess off games all the time, guys. That's my point. But that's the whole thing. The ones that get it right, all of a sudden they become great coaches. Like a great coach that can't make a bad decision. They're going to get 100 on every test. This game would have made the series 2-2. So basically, last night's loss, if that was a win and favor for the Lakers, it would have made it a best of 3 series. It would have been a best of 3 series. That means you had to win 2 out of 3 games, and the Lakers would have 2 of them on their home court. Now, just watch the people's energy. Some people get a pass. Oh, man, it's just one of those things. Dude, there's no way in 9 hells. That wasn't game 7. That I can see that in game 7. Playing game 7. I can see you. I can excuse that. That is straight out ignorant. And as smart as JJ Redick is, it proves that he is capable of being of blundering drastically like he did in game 4 in the second half. That and I didn't watch the game, but if you guys, I'm curious for those of you that did watch the game, or if some of you may go back and watch that second half. Sometimes there's assistant coaches on the bench, right? Sometimes there are assistant coaches that has the ear, right, of the coach. You know, meaning that some assistant coaches can let coach know, hey, don't forget we at the 8-minute mark. We got to put some players know to go in, but I mean, hey, what about so and so? Let's go with so and so. Some assistant coaches have the ear. I ain't say all, some. Hey man, let's not forget, because a coach, I can get it. Sometimes they can be so beamed in, you know, they might ask, hey man, you good? Yeah, dog gonna say I'm good. What are they gonna say? No, coach, I ain't good, man. Take me out. You know. But that was blunder. Now, speaking of the Rockets, they're back in action tonight. They're down 2-1 against the Golden State Warriors. This game comes on at 8 p.m. tip Central. This game is going. It's a must-win for the Houston Rockets. It's a must-win. Otherwise, they become the same situation as the Lakers. Remember, the difference between the two, the Lakers, both of their stars have been to the NBA Finals. One last year. So, the Houston Rockets, that was the jacket on their back, and they're proving that jacket to be true thus far. And that is the inexperience in the postseason and often and the inconsistency of their leading scorer. Right now, both have proven to be true. So it's up to Jalen Green to break that cycle, or to, if he can keep that cycle going, that means good game, bad game, okay game, good game, bad game, okay game. You know, then it's a winnable game. It's going to be intriguing, guys. It really is going to be intriguing in regard to this Rocket. How about the Pistons and the Knicks? The Pistons and Orlando Magic are going to be serious contenders within the next year to two. They have the foundations, they have the youth, and those guys, the chemistry is going to be there. It's already there with both of them. They know who their go-to guy is, both those teams. And question you, I mean, I want to ask the question because that's redundantly wasting your time. The Pistons got, I mean, they're not the first and not the last, but they got robbed last night. Normally this don't happen at home. They got robbed. They got robbed. And that series should have been 2-2. So that means two controversial moments in the fourth quarter in both that prevented the Lakers and the Pistons from being an even series right now. Does that happen with Houston tonight? I hope the Rockets aren't in that situation to be able to even make that become a reality. I hope they aren't. Right? Speaking of the Rockets, Marcus Carroll said he's wondering why Jeff Green is out of the rotation. I mean, you know, he's not a script. I mean, Cam Whitmore was not out of the rotation as well. They both played in garbage time. 2 games ago, the game when they lost in Houston, and they got blew out. You know, what can I say, Marcus? I mean, the rotations for a lot of people, it shrinks in the playoff. I thought, you know, it ain't just Jeff Green. Steven Adams is playing way more minutes than I thought they would have, but that's what they had him for the postseason, right? So he took the minutes, obviously, away, you know, because Rockets are so interchangeable. So it's not like you putting in a fight, only for maybe 3 players, 4 players tops that's pegged in one hole. But the rest, maybe 3 players. The rest of those guys are very interchangeable with the Houston Rockets rotation. You know, off that bench, you got Jabari Smith. Steven Adams. Who was coming off that bench? Holiday even got minutes. He didn't play much, I think, in game one. Aaron Holiday. So I just think the Rockets was deeper, and we could, but it's just, we'll see how this goes. It all comes down to right now tonight. Their season, they're not. If they fall down 3-1, they're not beating Golden State 3 times in a row. And Golden State would definitely, like I said, I'm thinking probably 6 games. Rockets will probably win when they come the first game back to Houston, but Golden State will make the adjustments and take care of the business. But the Rockets have very good chance. Remember, all they have to do win tonight, and they regain home court advantage. In regards to that. So that's what we have regarding the playoff. Now, of course, breaking news, Damian Lillard, he is out with the torn Achilles tendon. He had the MRI, the results are in. So the Milwaukee Bucks, who got mollywopped yesterday, Indiana. How about that? Indiana's looking, against the Milwaukee Bucks, Indiana looks very good. We'll see, next round of the playoffs. And, of course, they're up 3-1 right now. The Pacers are. And the Cavs, they have a chance to sweep the Miami Heat and close them out tonight. Right? That game there will be the first game at 6:30 p.m. Cleveland at Miami. If that happens, that means the Cavs get an extended, at least a 48-hour jump over the Milwaukee Bucks. 24 hours, I'm saying it's 24 hours before the Milwaukee play. But when you think about and they're at home, so that's a whole nother half day for travel, as far as waking up to landing for the Bucks. That's why I say a day and a half to 2. So they get to sleep in their own beds. That's going to be good for Cavs. We'll see how they fare against, how the Pacers fare against the Cavs in that second round. The Knicks, by the way, once again, the Celtics, they escaped. They're up 3-1. They're going to close Orlando out. And that series, second round, possibly Knicks and Celtics will be, I'm thinking it'll be that series. I'm thinking 7 games, because Celtics they aren't packing that knockout punch they had a year ago. So they're not sputtering, but they're just not. All 8 cylinders ain't clicking hard right now with them. They're winning, but they're not knocking folks out. They're not. The fear factor isn't there for the Celtics as it was before. Now, on the west side, we mentioned the Timberwolves and the Rockets, the Timberwolves, Lakers, Rockets, Warriors a while ago. Those winners play each other in the second round. The Nuggets and the Clippers, I'm seeing that's going to 7, which means that the OKC Thunder is going to have an entire week off of rest. That can be good, that can be bad. But they're at home, mind you. And either Denver or the Clippers will have to come to see them. Once again, the playoffs are good right now. That's what they're good. And everybody said Draymond told Dylan Jalen Green to go and paint his nails and calling him a punk and shaking them up. They're done. We'll see. We'll see if Jalen Green can respond tonight. Sonny Bill say Cam so talented, so ill suited. What's the problem? Cam played the other night in garbage time. My thing is, if you benched him, and that's one of the things, Steve Kerr made an adjustment. He had a guy on his bench that was in a similar situation, had got deep in the doghouse, right? Had got deep in the doghouse. And in doing so, I'm looking at the injury report for the game tonight. But in doing so, when speaking of the Golden State Warriors, when talking about the young fella Kuminga, right? Kuminga was deep in the doghouse. Gets out of the dog. Steve Kerr puts him in the game. Guess what? He performs. He's been the X factor for the Golden State Warriors, to me, in the last 2 wins. Straight X factor. So, and at the end of the day, people that are watching, people that are writing, as you win, people get amnesia. They forget about whatever your problems was. They just know y'all got it done, right? And that's what we see with this program, with this team right now. I'm looking right now, and Frank White says, is there any reason that Dalton Connect didn't play for the Lakers? Hey, man. Sometimes a coach feels that his tired stars are better than your fresh reserves, and he proved that. JJ Redick probably never make that error again. If he does do it again, then that means you standing on business, you doubling down. That means you mean what you try to do. If you don't ever do it again, then that means you acknowledging that was a mistake. That means your action is proving that's a mistake. So, it's curious in regard to that. Yeah, and Marcus Carey said Gary Payton has been good. He's been extremely great off the bench. But Kuminga has been the X factor to me in the last 2 games. He's played his way out of the doghouse. That means now, of course, he's still probably going to be they're probably shopping around when the season over with, try to see if they can get something for him. But meanwhile, you're going to help me get these wins. That's what they're doing. Jimmy Butler is good to go tonight. And I expect the Rockets to be a little bit physical with him, but then depending on which referee crew or how the referee crew decides to call it early on, do they have sympathy, for whoever's going to try to rough up Jimmy? And I'm thinking that they will protect the asset. So Jimmy's going to get calls. Hope it doesn't be at the detriment of one of the star Rockets, or that would put them in foul trouble. Ivan Petty says, shout out to Darryl Colbert Jr. on helping develop Cam Ward and Sanders. Darryl Colbert, I went to college with Darryl Colbert out of Beaumont, Texas. He played football when I was on the baseball team at Texas Southern back in the mid-'80s. So that's what we got on that. So now, as promised, we are 28 minutes past the hour. I want to take out the time now to ask you guys to share the show, if you will. Share it to your timelines. Share it to your groups. shared. I just shared it on the Facebook feed, and I'm now sharing it on the Twitter feed. And what we're gonna do is, there we go. We had another quick hiccup. So I wanted to say again, I wanted to give a shout out to Rick Nelson for the Pearland Classic being a success. I want to give a shout out, and I call out to tell you guys the winners. There was a variety of teams that showed up and showed out in the 17 and under division. And this is one thing I liked about the Pearland Classic, is the fact that this event, I think it started in 2003 was the first year of this, the Pearland Classic. The reason I kind of say it, because in 2000, the last year, John Urie ran the event first. It was called, I don't even remember what it was called, but it wasn't called Pearland Classic, right? It was called something, maybe the Texas Classic, something like that. You guys are watching, and you maybe can correct me, or not correct me, but help me on that. The last year of John Urie's event was held at Clear Lake High School. LeBron James played, and the Oakland Soldiers came to town. They accumulated, that team featured Leon Poe as well, who had the knee injuries that messed up his career. He went to Cal out of high school. But then that was the first event, matter of fact, the only grassroots event, team-oriented event, that Kendrick Perkins played in the entire summer. He sit out the summer. He only played. He was what they call an Adidas baby. He was, his teams were sponsored by Sonny Vaqueros and Adidas back then, the Bowman Ozen. And Kendrick Perkins had played with the Houston Hoops throughout high school. You guys know that he played. Him and Indy Eby was the twin towers with the Houston Hoops. They were in the 9th grade. Guess what? They played 15U. They were in the 10th grade. Both of them played 16U. These are 2 first-round draft picks. Both of them played their age group. Back then, that was customary, unless you were extremely special or the 17 under needed you. Now, that last summer, Kendrick Perkins, Adidas convinced him to not play with the Hoops, or the powers that be convinced him. He didn't play. He was already projected to be a one and done. I think he committed to Memphis. Yeah, he committed to Memphis out of high school, and they were supposed to take one of his teammates, his high school teammates as well. It was a package deal. Then Kendrick Perkins, KP, said, "I'm going in the draft," and they reneged on the scholarship with the teammate. He had to go and get it out the mud, go to a junior college, I think. Can't think of the teammate's name. You guys are watching. You can correct me or help me out and fill in the blanks on that, what I'm talking about. You guys definitely know that, right? And I'm looking at the comments. And Herb said, yes, that event was at Clear Lake High School, and he left for unpaid balance in the power that people were doing. And Rick Nelson took the opportunity. But Rick, in all fairness, Rick Nelson did call John Urie and let him know, hey, man, look, you know, you want to do this? I'm up now, John. And so basically, you know, sometimes you don't. Rick Nelson was under the umbrella of John Urie. So John Urie's fingerprints was on Rick Nelson, meaning that the story of Rick Nelson can't be told of grassroots basketball. The chapter of grassroots basketball, you can't tell it without saying John Urie's name. You can't tell it for Rick Nelson without saying John Urie. You can't. Not if you're telling it wholeheartedly. because that's how he got his start. That's how he got his influence. That's how he ended up getting attracted the powers that be to his dedication and his volunteer work. And Chris Rivers gave Rick Nelson the opportunity to go over to Reebok and have his own deal. It's kind of like what's my can't think of his name. But anyway, so Rick Nelson started that event the year after, that was 2022, when they put LeBron James, Kendrick Perkins, and Leon Poe with the Oakland Soldiers, and they still did not make it. I think they may have lost 2 or 3 games that weekend. They did not fare well. It was some fire down there. Remember, that was the same year that the Atlanta Celtics had that fire young team with Dwight Howard and those guys, Josh Smith and all those guys. That team, I think they may have won the whole event. It's loaded. You had the players in town. I mean, that thing was loaded. That event. Adidas had fire in those days. Rick Nelson took that thing and relit his own candle, and it was based in Pearland. Pearland opened up the doors, and when you're doing these events, the visitors bureau, because Pearland has their own mayor. They went and they found a way to embrace that. People use the hotels out there. And when you do that type of stuff, you got young guys out there. The city will invest money into your event to help you be able to market it in exchange for steering your teams to stay in their hotels, which eventually would obviously yield them the first dibs at eating in your local restaurants, shopping in your stores, filling up in your gas stations. That money trickles down throughout your community. So that's why certain programs, certain cities will invest and do that. And for those that go and ask, you got to request it in many cases. So Rick Nelson, fast forward through, he's 2023 was his first year, and now I don't think they did. I think he did it in COVID. So, but anyway, great job. Great job. And to the Houston Defenders, they won the 17 and under bracket. The Houston Defenders, that is. They defeated Nike Pro Skills San Antonio 51-46 in the championship. These two teams were in the same pool together, and the Defenders crushed them in pool play on Saturday afternoon. And this game, it was very much more competitive in the championship game. So that's the 17U championship. The 16 under championship was won, believe it or not, there was an 8th grade team that played up not one age but 2 ages, and they won 5 games in the 16 and under bracket. That's the Gulf Coast Blue Chips. That's their main 8th grade team, coached by Terrell Henry. This young man ironically played for Rick Nelson with his Houston Elite program back when Terrell Henry was in high school. He played for Rick Nelson. And Rick was so proud for this young man felt obligated to put his team in Rick Nelson's signature event. He played in the Pearland Classic. Terrell Henry did. So that's double awesome when you see these young people take the initiative to give back and to guys that put their fingerprints on them. But meanwhile, go deeper about the Gulf Coast Blue Chips. This is an A-grade team. This is what I normally do, and I strongly encourage, and I'm going to reach out to and advise all you young event operators out there. This should be the rule of thumb. And it's like if we in Congress, or we in the state legislature, and the session is now in progress. I'm recommending that any tournament, right, that's held locally, I'm talking about in the Houston area, and even us going further, said I recommend for your DFW guys, or any city that's a major city with at least four programs that actually get a check from a sneaker company. Because everybody uses the word sponsor too loosely nowadays. If you get a check, right, or if you sign a contract that yields you a check, not for you to go and pay and buy uniforms, to go and stay and pay to do this and pay. No, if you get a check from the company, those teams, unless many of them will want to request, but put it like this, let me just cut through the chase. Those teams should automatically be slotted up at least one age group. Meaning, if they're in Houston, for example, the teams, I note the teams that get a check with a check, not boxes of sneakers, a check. There are at least the Houston Hoops, JL3, Gulf Coast Blue Chips, Houston Defenders, a check should be TJ Ford, asterisk goes by one-time legends, because I think that money may have, the funding is there from where it come from. There's an asterisk with them. Who did I miss? But at least those programs, they get a check. So that means if one of their young teams is playing in a tournament, the tournament director should automatically advance them to the next grade level, because most of the tournaments in the area are going to be against players. They're not against nationally ranked, or not against 4 to 5 star teams with 3, 4, 5 star players on there. Most of those teams are not that they're going to be playing against. So you got to, when they play locally, the objective isn't for them to prove to the world that your 8th grade team is going to win the 8th grade division. Hell, you better win the 8th grade division if you're playing if you're an 8th grader up under a sneaker sponsored umbrella. Unless money is at stake for first place. I get that part. If money is at stake, then yeah, that's an exception to the rule. But no longer after this day forward should Houston Hoops, JL3, TJ Ford, because they are deemed to be, you're supposed to have the best of the pickings. That doesn't always mean it's going to happen, but you're supposed to. So that means your sneaker 14U is supposed to beat The average 15U. If your 14U is very good, then they will beat the most of the good 15Us. If they are special, then they will beat most 16s. That's normally the rule of thumb, in case you guys didn't understand this. So, to make the things more competitive, then what happens is, and I'm glad I didn't hear it in the Pearland Classic. I'm glad I did not hear people saying, man, why are we playing that 14U? So that means now, which I told Rick, I said, Rick, well, now Rick told me, because this Rick Nelson's event. Rick told me, hey, man, I don't feel like hearing these coaches' mouth. Let's take don't even put 14U behind that, because they're gonna run for them, and truth be told, this team probably gonna beat all their ass. That's what Rick said when I did the schedule. I was doing the schedule. He said, man, I said, Rick, if that's the case, you got to put the name of the coach then. That way you identify him as Under Armour Henry. And that's what we did. Sometimes you got to, I don't want to say trick people. You got to masturbate their minds, M-I-N-D, in order to prevail in this stuff. Meaning that you didn't want your parents to say, so we're just gonna put the real that when they hit the court, those parents of that 8th grade team is going to let everybody in the gym know. I promise you, they're going to be rooting, and they probably were rooting and tooting to remind everybody, these kids ain't even high school yet. See what I'm saying? They're not even in high school yet. And they rolled right through the bracket. It wasn't easy now. You don't realize. It wasn't easy. All 3 bracket wins were by single digits. That means this team now is ready. I got my eyes on the Gulf Coast Blue Chips 8th grade team. They have a chance. They have a chance. And of course, I can imagine Clyde Jackson probably is probably doing Daffy Duck flips right now as a result of their success. Now, back to the winners row from the Pearland Classic for the 15 and under division. I give a shout out to the TNT program. I saw them play on Sunday morning. I saw them win. I want to say it was in overtime. They beat the Houston Hoops South, who's a pretty good team. And at TNT, they proceeded to upset the Houston Defenders Freeman team before winning the. And I think that's Freeman team. That's the Defenders' second 15 and under team. In all fairness, their main team played up. Remember, I just said a while ago. Now, that should, I'm not, and I'll make an amendment to that. Unless a team lets you know, hey man, we're missing this guy, that guy this weekend. But if they're at full throttle, they should play up. If you get a check. What you guys think about that? All right? What do you guys think? Big Coach thanks. Coos Elite is another one we missed. Get a check. So there's about 6 programs in Greater Houston that get a check from a sneaker team. I say them again: Houston Hoops, JL3, TJ Ford, Gulf Coast Blue Chips, Houston Defenders, Coos Elite, and then you got an asterisk by one-time legends. That's 7 teams in the area. And for you guys to understand something, before we get back to the Pearland Classic, if you have 5 starters on each team, that's 35 players. That's 35 players. If 5 starters on each team, and all starters on those sneaker-sponsored teams think they're Division 1. Houston hasn't had 35 Division I players signed in one class in about maybe one of the past 6 years. But they all, that's why you see, now mind you, that's why there's an incorporation of out-of-town players will help fill those rosters. Plus, you will have underclassmen which will play up to fill those rosters and to fill the gaps, because the mathematics and the numbers just aren't there for those teams, that many teams, to field a winning program based on that grade level of rising seniors. Just ain't it's not there. It's not there. Even if you get 5, your 6, 7, and 8 is going to be like the Lakers bench in Game 4 of that series. They're not going to they're not going to move the needle. Not going to even play. Be play worthy. So, shout out to, I gave to the TNT. They won the 15U. In the 14U division, how about the Houston Raptors? 14U. Houston Raptors, shout out to y'all. You came there, played your division, and they play on the Adidas circuit. And guess what? They showed up and showed out. You did what you're supposed to do, because that means that circuit found a program or found a team that's one of the best of the rest. When they think you're one of the best, then that's when you're going to get a check. That means now you're one of the best of the rest in one of the hottest areas of arguably the hottest states in the United States. So shout out to the Houston Raptors winning the 14 under division. The 13 numbers were won by the Texas Thunder. They are under the New Balance umbrella, right? These are the 7th grade division. They won first place over the Mo City Ballers Black, which they ran right through them in the title game. Shout out to the Texas Thunder. Remember, New Balance, they play up under that circuit. They do not get a check. But so that means they played their age group and they did what they supposed to do. If you're going to put that sneaker name on the outside at the end of your name or the beginning of your name, then you better go out there and represent. They did. Shout out to Texas Thunder. I watched them play on Sunday in that championship game. They rolled right through, used big fellas. They got some big cornbread fed cats on the inside, took care of business, and got that championship with ease. In the 12U division, that's the 6th grade. We're talking about the Pearland Classic, which took place this past weekend. Team from down in the valley, South Texas, came and won 5 games in a row, and that's the South Texas, the STX Hoops Elite, coached by Arnold Martinez. Arnold Martinez told us that it would be that he was going to come down to H-Town and kick some butt. They had a bunch of fun, kicked butt, and had a safe drive back to the McAllen, Texas area on Sunday evening. So STX Hoops Elite Honor beat the Gulf Coast Blue Chips Chase, their 12 and under team, 39-31 in the championship. Right? In the 4th grade division, the 5th grade division, which is 11U, the MECEI, that's Glenn Hickman. He was on the Chop Shop earlier. Shout out to Glenn Hickman. Many of you guys may remember his program over a decade ago. It was called the Houston Pacers, right? The Houston Pacers. They had a good little run, and they supported a lot of the RCS sports events and a lot of events locally. Glenn Hickman moved and went out the country from his job, came back and continued to volunteer, and has a team of 5th graders that has been basically, they kick butt. And there was a team in that bracket. I feel sorry because I really, really would have liked to see this matchup. There's a team from Louisiana, from Baton Rouge, called a Sports Academy, right? And Sports Academy, they finished in the top 3 in the country 2 years in a row in the nation. This team came down in Houston, and they were fragmented as one of their star players, a couple of their star players didn't join them until Saturday evening, after they had already finished 0-2 in pool play, which meant they had to go to a different bracket. Rick Nelson, he's a Kappa Alpha Psi, so he named his brackets. The main bracket is the Crimson, and what you guys would know as the consolation bracket is called the Cream, Crimson and Cream. So, nowadays with these young people, you got to masturbate the MINDS, the minds of people. So instead of saying you're going to the consolation bracket, which people used to be, that's the way it was back in yesteryear. Well, nowadays you have to make everybody feel like a winner. So what you do is you call it a Cream Championship bracket. And those winners got medals as well. The winners of the Crimson brackets got rings, some big nice rings, and those kids were happy on the boys and girls side. Shout out to MECI. I love it when they come, man. Great energy. That game between them and STX Hoops, it got a little chippy in there, got a little heated, a little bickering, because they had never played each other before. And I told them before the game, so I said, this is going to be a very intriguing game. It's going to be good, and which indeed it was. Now, Sports Academy, I hate that they did not get the chance to face that MECI team. That would have been good. Or the STX team with their full throttle. So that means next time they play, you guys already know who I'm putting in the same pool. Whenever they get up on the same, probably be next year. It's going to be probably at the GMI, which is July the 5th and the 6th. You guys may not have heard the GMI is going to take place. It'll be the July the 5th and the 6th. Not the live period, but it'll be a good testing grounds for a lot of teams before they go to the live period the following week. It'll be a good showcase weekend. So now we move on as we get ready to close things out. The 10 and under division was won by Mean Green Select. Mean Green, they're coached by another young man who played for Rick Nelson and also played in the Pearland Classic. They came, took first place, shout out to the 4th grade young men for the Mean Green Select. Now on the girls, in the bottom boys division was the 8U/9U, which was won by the Gulf Coast Blue Chips 2035. That's their 8 and under. They won that division by cruising past the Houston Players and their 9U team. So the 2nd graders beat the 3rd graders in the championship. Shout out to that. Girls, the varsity was won by the Louisiana Lady Rockets. Thank you guys for coming down and supporting Rick Nelson and his efforts. That team was just extremely too good for all of the other varsity girls team. Louisiana Lady Rockets, I'm sorry, but that Rick didn't have enough food to feed for your team to feast off of, as they ran right through the field in that varsity division. The JV was won by the Bayou City Select girls team. They beat the 1350 Lady Hoops in the championship. And of course, the middle school division, I think the Lady Celtics, if I'm not mistaken, won that one. That's the 8th grade division, and the 7th grade girls division was won by Texas Thunder. The last division, I don't see it updated, and Sports Academy Lady Elite and the STX Lady Hoops met in the championship, and I'm not seeing who won that game on my screen. But those are the results from the Pearland Classic. Now, meanwhile, Doug Jones gave a recap of he has the VIP news updated on rcssports.com. That's what you do. And we're giving you guys a couple of extra minutes because we came on late. So I'm going to give you about 10 extra minutes on today. And that is, I'm looking right now. I'm reading some of you guys' comments. Thanks to Sterling Creeks. He said the Houston EYBL team, session 1, 15s and 17s. JL3 combined to go 6-3. Houston Hoops combined to go 0-9. Wait, whoa. 0-9. Wow. That may be the first time in history that the Houston Hoops 15s, 16s, and 17s played in the same event and did not win a game. That may be the first time ever. I'm talking EYBL. EYBL. That, matter of fact, ain't no maybe to it. That's the first time ever that nobody won a game. So you know what that means? Let me pick you up on game. You grassroots guys, there's going to be phone calls for every one of your players that gets some ink from what they did this past weekend. I'm telling you right now. That's why I say be careful what you wish for. You want that ink? You want that exposure? Here's what's about to happen to you, some of y'all asses. And if I was y'all, I would go look at the box scores and go and make the calls because they're about to pluck some of your kids away. If your kid had a great weekend this past Saturday or Sunday in Houston, and he shined and he put up some numbers, it's like some dominating fashion. And you got practice Tuesday, he might not be at your practice. I'm just giving you game right now. And you know what? And as we get ready to go out of here, we got about 4 minutes. We got 9 minutes. I'm giving you guys extra 8 minutes overtime, extra 10 minutes overtime. Can you guys put up some of the excuses that you've heard from players who've missed your practices or missed some grassroots practices, but actually went to another practice? You know, some of these guys give you excuse, well, coach, I gotta do this. You know. And I'm gonna post them on the screen because it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And this is why I tell people, you be careful what you wish for. You want everybody to get ink, and then when they get ink, all you're doing is letting you turning the clock on. And Mike Jones said the AU transfer portal is about to be. It's always popping. It's always popping, Michael Jordan. Always popping. I'm looking and reading some of the other comments. Remember, what are some of the things that people say to miss your practice and then only to find out they've gone to somebody else's practice in grassroots? Sterling Creeks has one. I was studying, coach. I got to study. See, back in the days, you could pull it off and you would actually get back home and your coach may not know about it until the weekend. Well, in today's society, it's almost impossible for you to successfully pull off a coup or pull off the slang is called stealing the kid. You know, it's time for a new choice of words, but that's what it's called, stealing the kid. It's almost impossible to do it now because one of those parents that are at practice is going to be on their cellular device and going to tell somebody, guess who's in this building? And then one of those kids are going to go home at night or in school the next day and tell one of their classmates, man, guess who came to our practice last night? It's going to happen. So it ain't as secretive as it used to be when the player goes and does that. right? Here goes some other ones. Some other excuses. Sorry, coach, I can't make practice on Tuesday. Yeah, I know I'm in class. I'm in the class of 2026, but we having it early. Nelson Brand saying parents gonna say, well, coach, I want him to stay, but his mama tripping. That's what one dad, they're gonna play. The parents will play good cop, bad cop on y'all ass. Right? So you gonna call the dad and dad say, coach, I want him to stay, but his mama tripping. Cause they know that you know that the mama don't like you anyway. So you ain't finna call him. You did the right thing. You go, men's supposed to go through the men. If there's a man in the household, man's supposed to communicate with the man. If there's a union household with male and female, the man coach is unless the male household figure defers, unless he defers, all communication should be going through the man. I really believe that would help to make this grassroots space a much better place if that were to happen. Right? Once again, and you guys can understand it, and sometimes men, you know, if you're a male coach and you understand, and you're the dad, you're the father figure in that household, and you don't really like that grassroots coach, and you don't want to talk to him, let the mama talk to him, but the kid want to play, then your son just might be with the wrong program. Because it needs to be a healthy relationship or a communication bridge for you and that particular grassroots coach. Because otherwise, you are yielding power from yourself, who your name is on this birth certificate, and you're yielding that power. Then once, if and when you open up your eyes and realize that that grassroots coach has usurped or psyched away your power, that's almost like the equivalent of a demasculation. So, restructure. Consider, you guys that are out there, assuming your roles, especially those that are within under that household. You don't have to play good cop, bad cop. Be real. Look the paper in the eyes. Stop being wimps on this thing. Hey man, we're going somewhere else. Not the mama don't want to do it. You know, she ain't down. Well, you gotta talk to her. Hey man, we're gonna try this other thing out, bro. You good people, we still good. We're gonna try something out. It's unbelievable how sometimes people will often feel like they got to sneak and creep when they're making these decisions in grassroots basketball. So, some other excuses, in case you just tuned in, I see Miss Michelle Goldsmith, Fifth Ward in the house. Wheatley Wildcats in the house. How you doing? How you doing, Miss Goldsmith? I know one thing. I know her husband is assuming his role in the household. That's for sure. Now, some other excuses before we get ready to land the plane that players will use when they miss a grassroots practice but show up at somebody else's practice the same night. Here we go. Coach, I have to watch my younger siblings. Here go another one. Coach, I was taking the SAT. I can't make practice on Tuesday, Coach. You know. Here go another one. Coach, I was stuck in traffic on 45. Coach, I'm on punishment for coming home late. Yeah, I know the gym is right around the corner, but my mama is afraid I might get kidnapped, so I'm gonna miss practice, coach. I sprained my right ankle in open gym, coach. They had somebody else practice at night, right? That same night. I left my sneakers in my locker at school, so I'm gonna miss practice tonight, coach. Big coach say a kid told him that his auntie dog died. The auntie's dog died. That's why he missed practice. And was at somebody else's practice. Coach, we appreciate everything you've done, but it's a better opportunity, so we're gonna look at it. I like that, right? I like that. Shout out to Ed Harris. Welcome to the Chop Shop. But anyway, guys, that's the 10 minutes of extra of overtime promised to you guys. Don't forget to go over to rcssports.com. Check out the VIP news. Also, Rick Nelson and myself, we are back in it. We have JRB events, and we run some really, really, really good tournaments. Guys, I'm telling you, good bang for your buck. $175 this weekend. All the high school games are showcased. Anything sub high school is pool play / tournament. Pool play / bracket. So all the games will be under the same roof. So that means we only can take, it's going to be probably our smallest event of the whole summer. It's called Elite 36. And we can't take more than 50 teams. Because I'm not, you guys know, if you paid attention to my scheduling, I'm not trying to be in the gym and help and force parents to be in the gym all day long. I'm not. I'm just not. I'm in a different, and I don't think that you guys deserve to be in the gym at these type of events. Now, of course, if you go to one of the sneaker events, then you are at the mercy of those programs, but you also are out of town, so you don't have much else to do. You're out of town anyway. But I don't believe that is, you guys are the consumers. I say this all the time. So we try to make it where you can go and spend your Saturdays. We try to get out the gym 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock at the latest. I don't give a damn how many sites we have. I try my best to make it where we're not stuck in that gym all day. If you guys got special requests, right? Special requests, we will honor them if you have paid your money. If you haven't paid your money, then you might give a special request to Rick Nelson, because I'm not honoring it, because that means you could also have me at the mercy of you pulling out of the event and messing up my schedule. If you paid your money, you can make a special request. That's the Elite 36. All games will be played at the gym in Humble. I haven't been to the gym for a tournament since spring icebreaker, I think. So it'd be fun going back into the into the gym. If you want to sign up, go and check out the link to sign up is on the front of our website. That's of my website. That's rcssports.com. rcssports.com. You'll see the link to sign up and you register your team. The schedule will be out Thursday evening, but it's the Elite 36, and once again, you're going to come and get some run. It's only $175. We have multi-team discount. Yes, we do. And we can make the schedule based on first come, first serve, or based on space. We only can take so many teams per division as well, because we only got 4 courts to play with. So other than that, don't forget Doug's Dozen is coming up in a couple of weeks. Doug Jones was on there earlier. He posted it, and you guys make sure you get signed up and you go and support Doug Jones and his efforts. It's kind of saddening because you see Doug Jones is supported he's really supported most if not all of you guys in this area, and I know it has hurt him to see you guys go and uproot, especially those who are going to other events. There's not even live events and on during that particular weekend. Doug's better. It's one of those things you just got to suck it up, and it's a reality. It's one of his first early reality checks. That no matter that I tell him all the time, people don't remember what they ate for breakfast, only what they ate for dinner. They don't remember what they ate for breakfast. They don't. And as much as Doug do for you guys, and it should be a whole line of teams that are trying to get in and support his efforts. So and I'm looking, and of course I told you, I promised you guys breaking news. Breaking news is in the basketball sector is that Nimitz High School head coach Kenneth Coleman will be leaving after 1 year and he's accepted an assistant coach role at Beaumont United High School up under David Green, whom he served in that same capacity when they won state at North Shore High School a decade ago. Meanwhile, so Coach Coleman is gone from Nimitz High School, and that means his son is highly likely to be joining him as well. And we expect Nimitz High School to promote their top assistant into the head coach role at Nimitz. So congratulations to the young man, and that's good news on the local scene. I also want to give a shout out to, I think we mentioned about we talked about the EYBL programs and what they did this past weekend. But shout out to JL3 16 and under. They ran the table, went undefeated this past weekend. JL3, I think they went 6-3 as of 15, 16, 17s combined, but the 16 won, went undefeated won all of their games in Phoenix, Arizona. And I want to, as I leave you guys on a note, you guys know that I want to do something this weekend at the Elite 36, and in some form or fashion we're going to fine tune it and get your thoughts in the days to come. But that event is this Saturday and Sunday, and I would love if you guys, I think I may try to think about break that news now, or I'll wait and break that in a couple of days. I'll let that sit in the freezer before I thaw that out. Also, I want to give this weekend the state high school track meet takes place in Austin. That's going to be on the dock as well. Texas has a couple of teams that have set national or have done really a couple of players / teams. One young man from Duncanville made a national mark early a couple of weeks ago. One a ninth grader from C.E. King High School, he made national headlines about a month or so ago. You have young lady in San Antonio, the daughter of Lupe Nunez, she's expected to claim the all-time gold medal record in track for the state of Texas, for which I think the record is 15. She won 4 golds in the 9th grade, 4 golds in the 10th grade, 4 golds in the 11th grade, and if she wins and duplicates that or repeats that feat again, she will be the most decorated high school track female in the history of Texas. And that is an awesome accomplishment if she takes care of business on Saturday in Austin. So her name is Taylor Nunez. She's at Randolph High School in San Antonio, and this will be I know it's gonna be quite a party Saturday night if she wraps those 4 medals and drapes those 4 medals around her neck again, right? That's pretty much it, man. I gave you guys a double shot, gave you an extra 10, so now it's 20. But it's time for me to slide down Dino's back, double and yabba dabba do this thing on this Monday. Don't forget you got NBA action. We'll be tipping off this evening. You have Cleveland and Miami is at 6:30, and of course the Houston Rockets is the 9 o'clock game tonight. That doubleheader. Both games on TNT. Houston Astros are now in 3rd place after their series in Kansas City. They will resume with the Detroit Tigers at home starting this afternoon. So thank you guys for tuning to the Chop Shop, man. A lot of work on this Monday. I am wore out right now. But once again, I appreciate it. Shout out to everybody from supporting and staying there, chopping it up with me on the Chop Shop. See you guys on tomorrow. Robert Hatter should be back in the force. And lastly, send a congratulations out to Chop Shop founder, Chris Walker. Chris Walker, he was in town this past weekend for his mother's surprise 70th birthday. Got a chance to experience that with the family. And Chris Walker has, he has a daughter. She's 2 years old now, approaching 2, something like that. Her name is Dallas, believe it or not, like as in the Cowboys. Dallas is his daughter's name. I'm quite sure little Slick Rick Timms would be happy to hear that part. But Chris he proposed and to his fiance, and she said yes. So Chris Walker, he's never been married before. He had never had any children before. Meeting his fiance, I want to say her name, keep her private, to keep his privacy kind of on that part. But him getting married, definitely a public conversation. And so shout out to Chris. Great thing for him, man. And we applaud him on this day. Meanwhile, thank you guys for tuning in. Share the show on your way out the door. Peace. We up out here, and it is Chop Shop.